G'day Bomber fans, hope we've all recovered after that Melbourne loss. It was a tough weekend, but we move forward. We are in the prime time slot again this week against the Adelaide Crows. It's a danger game, this one. We're about to find out where we are form-wise. 2 wins from 6. This could either deflate or relieve a lot of fans. It's a big game. I'm very worried going into it. A big preview coming up. Before we get into it though, some votes. Votes from the Melbourne game. Mackay and Martin were the clear standouts. It was actually really close with all your votes. Martin pipped Mackay pipped Ridley. After that, no one else was really that near. Langford was my role player. He was also nearly yours, but Dersma got a couple extra on him. The overall tally, not a lot changing right up the very top, but Mackay and Martin made big moves to get closer to that podium. Langford entered the top 10. Dersma is only a vote or two away. Lots going on. Keep it up, guys. Alright, Friday night, Essendon in 6th against Adelaide in 14th. Essendon are 2 wins from their last 6 matches. Adelaide are 2 wins from their last 6 matches. The Crows are arguably, though, as of right now, the team in better form, so that makes this a really interesting game of Friday night footy under the roof at Marvel, the ground we play our best footy at. We generally beat the Crows as well. We haven't lost to them since 2017. We've played each other once this year, back when Sam Draper dived on the ball to win the game for us at Adelaide Oval, when the Crows were lacking in form. So they'll be eager to seek out revenge against us, and it's an important game for our season, not as much for the Crows, who are barely a mathematical chance to play finals. We have more at stake, but that is always dangerous in these late season games for finals contending teams. This is a banana peel match in every sense of the word. So let's talk about our opponents and what will make them dangerous as a team. I actually think the Crows are a far more dangerous team than their ladder position suggests. I wasn't thinking top 8 before the season started like some, but I knew they could be around the mark if they put it together. They just didn't really get the chance. Form, injuries, they were shocking early. But now they are getting important key players back and others returning to form. They just smashed the Saints in the wet, something I doubt we would have done. They only just lost to the Lions at the Gabba. The week before that, they got over the line against the 7th place Giants. This is all post-bye. Since the bye, they have looked a much better team, and it's because guys like Nick Murray, Isaac Rankin, Riley Thilthorpe all returned to play together. Obviously, Rankin is now suspended, but the point is, key players are linking up, and the club is better because of it, and they're scoring freely, they're moving the ball well, they're looking tougher than we are right now. Adelaide are playing better footy than us, and it's not controversial to say that. We are 1 from our last 3, they're 2 from their last 3, against good teams as well. Adelaide are not to be taken lightly. This is a club that can do a lot of damage to finals contending teams in this last month or two. So how are we going to win this game? Let's look at how Adelaide play. Adelaide have become a more complete team in recent weeks, both in personnel and game style. They've started playing footy that is harder to maintain as an opposition coach. They've never been a classy team, but I feel like they've gotten a lot better around the contest in these last few weeks. They've won the contested possession count in every game post-bye. Before the bye was a different story. They've had to make changes on the run that makes them a harder team to read. Crouch got injured, so Sam Berry's become a full-time mid there. Rankin's suspension is allowing youngsters to get more midfield time. Guys like Zach Taylor and Billy Dowling have even spent time in centre bounces, funnily enough. They're shifting around Magnus a lot, and it's hard to know what that means for Friday. We know that Dawson and Laird will undoubtedly have an influence. We know that they will try and get the ball in Saligo's hands to push forward. We know that they will try and find one of their many key forwards in good conditions. They're a team that often relies on their best players, or has in the past. They often have passengers and fringe members on a merry-go-round for spots, but you feel like they've turned a bit of a corner in the season and found form together as a side. That is always what you want from a club, or I guess not from us as we're about to play them. The thing about Adelaide that is worrying me right now is that their identity or brand isn't even that strong yet. They went from this really fun back half game against the Lions when they were scoring freely from defensive transition to a gritty, tough game built around winning the ball around the arcs or close to goals in the wet. They aren't the better team on paper, but it doesn't mean the different game styles will bother them. They've matured a lot in recent weeks and managed to defend the ground better. So without the footy, they may not mind our tempo. They've been known to fill up that D50 if opposition teams are gathering the uncontested pill too easily. So we probably will enter a lot, but struggle to get clunks. They average 51 inside 50s against per game, which isn't great, but I look at the numbers when they play teams like us, who get the ball in there a lot. When I think high inside 50 teams, I think us, Brisbane and Sydney. And against the Lions, it wasn't too bad, -8 and -7 in both games. But against us and Sydney, we beat them 62 inside 50s to 43 at Adelaide Oval. That is nuts. The Swans beat them 61 to 35. Keep in mind, we had almost 20 inside 50s when we played them, but won by just under a goal. That shows how the game could play out. The Crows on the back foot, absorbing our attacks under the roof. I think it would be harder for them to do so, though. We're typically a much higher scoring team at Marvel than we are at Adelaide Oval. On a ground like Marvel, disposal efficiency becomes really important, and luckily for us, Adelaide are not a team full of good ball users. This is is why I'd be worried about playing them on a greasy MCG. But under the roof, it becomes less about the contested ball and more about what you do with it on the outside, and that's Essendon's brand. We're a fantastic uncontested team. We control the ground so well, control the footy so well. No team averages more uncontested possessions than Essendon. It's frustrating sometimes, like last week against the Demons when we tried that style in the wet, but I doubt we'll be frustrated by the game plan on Friday night because it just works under the roof. It's why we haven't lost at Marvel all year. I think it decides the game, what we do with the footy or how much Adelaide allow us to get that kick mark game style going. Adelaide aren't a team that can completely destroy us on the way back as well, or at least they haven't shown that they can do that consistently this year. So I think it's all about us keeping possession and keeping chances going through it. I expect repeat entries. Adelaide will throw numbers back to help. They aren't a great team at getting that efficient disposal from a rebound. I think if all goes according to plan, we should be able to play in our forward half a decent chunk. I do think, though, we should expect to be generating our first disposals from D50. I think the Crows midfield will probably get on top of ours. If that's the case, it's all about how we defend those first stoppage entries, and from there, how we transition. That's why I think we have the upper hand, because I think if we can do that, and even if we can limit their action, if our midfield gets on top like it did last time, a lot can happen for us to win this game, I think. I reckon we got to talk us down a bit now, because there are some big worries, most notably the forward line. The synergy is just not there right now. None of our forwards are firing at all. It's getting harder and harder to kick goals against good teams. The Crows' defense isn't amazing. I actually think it's their weakest zone in my eyes. It can get overrun pretty easily, and it's quite young, so that means there should be no excuses. We should be able to put a high score against this team. They should be struggling to contain our best players. The issue is our best players are out of form. Wright may not even play, apparently. Stringer's kicked 1 goal from his last 2 games. Caddy's promising, but hasn't shown he can hit the scoreboard in a big way yet. Are we too reliant on Kyle Langford now? He's the only consistent goal kicker we have in the team. The sad thing is, he's our only forward to not have a goalless match in our last 4 outings. Our smalls are not firing either, by the way. Gresham and Guelphy were poor against Melbourne. We're in trouble right now. We're a high inside 50 team, 4th highest in the comp, but we have the 4th worst goal per inside 50 ratio in the comp as well. And that's the issue there, is that Adelaide are the 3rd best team, or 3rd best rated team for containing inside 50s. They average the 3rd leanest goal inside 50 ratio against. The question is, under the roof at Marvel, can Nick Murray, Jordan Butts, Mick Laney, Mark Keane, can these guys stop our forward line? They aren't household names. They're a bit flaky at times. Will they play us back into form or put us in a deeper hole? I honestly think if we don't kick a decent score here, we are screwed against the Saints and the Dockers. I think, though, the game is decided by the venue in many ways. Something the Crows fans will not be happy with is the location. It's not just an away game, and the Crows are historically not a great side on the road, but it's a game being played at Marvel Stadium, which is rather frustratingly the ground we play our best footy at. The Crows are decent there. They beat the Blues earlier this year, but we're very good at Marvel. We aren't good at the G for those big games that really matter, but at Marvel, against smaller or interstate teams, we are great. It becomes a cauldron. We're great in perfect conditions. It's Peter Wright's favourite place in the world. That's why I think we should probably play him, even though it looks like we may not. We're so hard to defend there. Under the roof, we've averaged almost 90 points per game from our last 10 matches. From our last 10 matches away from Marvel, we've averaged just 78. We're a very, very good team under the roof. Haven't lost a game there this year. I genuinely think if this game was being played in the wet or in non-perfect conditions, we could be going in as the underdogs, but the fact it is at Marvel is a massive boost for the club. It's a huge advantage. We luckily play a lot of our footy to end the year here, 4 of our last 6 games, so that probably should set us up for finals. It's because our ball movement at Marvel is just a joy to watch at times. We are a fast side on this deck, and it gets really hard for interstate teams to build serious momentum with that crowd against them. So get out to the game if you can, drown out the Crows fans, send them home sad, and will in the Bombers to get the job done. Alright, team news. Neither team have any new injuries, it seems. We'll start with our opponents, who won't change too much after a dominant win against the Saints. Riley Thilthorpe will not be the sub, I reckon. He looked really good against St Kilda. He should play. Mitch Hinge should be back as well. He probably comes in for Elliot Himmelberg or Hugh Bond, who was solid against the Saints. As for us, no injuries. Caldwell did sit out of training the other day, so that is a watch. There are a few players on the outside who are rested. Goldstein and Laverty, I expect both to play, to be honest. And the big news, according to Jake Nile, is that Peter Wright could be dropped from the team, which would be a massive call. I honestly wouldn't mind him staying under the roof to build some confidence, but that is the news it appears. Don't know how accurate it's been considered, though, so I'm running with it. So Goldstein would come in for Wright. I reckon Laverty would come in for Cox and Push. unfortunately, probably Kelly up onto a wing, or Heppel, and Ben Hobbs is being considered for a recall, I reckon, in place of Archie Perkins. Tough to pick this team, though. It's going to be really interesting on Thursday night. Alright, prediction, who will win? I don't think it's easy enough to just assume we will win this game. The gap between these two teams right now is closer than it looks, I reckon. They're in better form. They're looking more connected right now. They are set to be a dangerous team for sides in finals contention. I think this game comes down to is how well we play to our system or how well the Crows disrupt it. This is a game that really relies on connection in all facets, but I just think we have to win this. If we lose this game, I reckon we start to worry about whether or not we actually make the 8. This is one of those games that you just have to go out and win. It isn't as an important season-defining match. This isn't one of those big scalp moments. We won't be thrilled with a win. It's just a game that a club should win if they wanted to go out and spend a bit of time playing in September. If we're really a finals footy team, we win this game. And if we lose, I think we just about draw a line through our chances of getting that home final because that we haven't had in 2 decades, because it's going to be hard if we lose this game. If we have really developed as a club, we win this, so I'm going to pick us by 16 points. Hopefully the boys don't prove me wrong. That is that. It's going to be a tense game. I feel like there's going to be some nervous fans heading to this one. Hopefully the boys don't let us down and we get back to that winning feeling. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and of course, go Bombers.